I'd like us all to remember these three numbers. Not because they're the winning lottery numbers, but because they'll actually help us in thinking about listening. Happy Monday afternoon to y'all. Hope you had a great weekend and are looking forward to a great week ahead. I will be seeing several of you in Memphis and the rest of you in the office later on this week. So just picking up on last week as we were talking about listening, the other side of the communication coin, just a couple of thoughts I wanted us to have. The three numbers that I showed you, 125, 400, and 900. 125 is the speed at which we speak. The average person speaks about 125 to 150 words a minute. 400 is the speed at which we listen. Our ears can actually hear, absorb, and take in information at almost 3 times the rate at which we speak. And then 900, that's the rate at which we think. And that means that we're thinking 6 times faster than a person speaks. So that means that we often get ahead of the other person. That's what causes us oftentimes to listen to respond, listening for content, sometimes listening for what's unsaid, but oftentimes missing the meaning because we're not tuned in to what the person is saying and really being attentive. So a couple of things that I wanted to leave with us to think about and try this next week. One is to understand that distractions, while it's nice to think about eliminating them, and I think in many cases we can, we also need to learn to have a symbiotic relationship with the fact that distraction is going to happen. How do I continue to check in and be attentive and attuned to the person who's talking? And those 3 distraction areas tend to be environmental, electronic, and everyone else. Environmental is kind of where we're having that conversation, what's happening in the background. Electronics, computers, cell phones, wearables, they're all distractions. It's one of the reasons we don't have them in team meetings, is so that we can really spend focused time and attention with one another without those outside distractions. And then there's everyone else. We've all been in a group conversation where someone starts having a sidebar conversation while someone's speaking, and then that person loses track, they don't feel listened or heard, or things get just brushed over. So we want to be aware that those distractions are there and then address them as they happen, but also knowing that you're not going to get rid of all distraction. It's just a part of the process. So 2 things that I'd love for us to think about as a team that may be helpful. I'd like to try this next week and have you all tell me how this goes. One is using breathing as a way of checking in with yourself before you have a conversation with someone. Just taking a couple of deep breaths. You know, oftentimes we're coming off another phone call, another Zoom meeting, another in-person meeting. There's been a distracting email, something's going on at home, and then we come into a conversation with kind of all that on us. Oftentimes just taking a few deep breaths really allows us to check in with, this is where I am right now. This is a conversation that I'm going into, and allow us to focus on that other person. And then second is trying to develop some kind of tuning ritual, right? Just like an orchestra, all tunes, right? They all tune to A, right? Everyone kind of gets on the same page. What is a tuning ritual that you could do that would let yourself know, I am focused and attentive and ready to listen to this other person? Maybe it's opening your notebook and having a pen ready. Maybe it's taking off your reading glasses to focus on that person. Maybe it's shifting the way that you sit. What is one thing that you could do that would create a ritual for your brain to kind of check into, I'm in listening mode and I really want to pay attention to this other person? So I'd love to just have you think about those things and let me know later on this week kind of how that goes with sort of checking in and being more aware of how we listen. So one thing I'd love to know from each of you down in the either the description or in the text body is, who was the best listener that you know? What was one thing that they did well? As you think about someone who really was gifted at listening, what did they do that let you know that they were a strong, good listener? I'd love to know what that is. And I hope that y'all have a fabulous rest of your day, rest of your week, and I look forward to seeing y'all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.